Recording's in progress. Okay, so today I want to talk about mental toughness. So we talk a lot about mindset and having a strong mindset and things along those lines. And so I want to kind of take that to another level today on mental toughness. So we all want to succeed. We are all trying to reach some sort of goal, whether it be a personal goal, a professional goal, a financial goal, a win goal, or an activity goal, whatever the case may be. We're trying to win at all costs. And yet the day-to-day business of real estate can be pretty tough at times. It's a lot of rejection. It's falling out of escrows. It's all kinds of different hands that have to touch a file for it to close. So there's a lot of things that we take on every day in real estate that can have an impact on our mental mindset and our attitude towards our day-to-day job. So I wanted to get into a little bit more about mental toughness to help us or protect ourselves from these issues that we might have on a day-to-day basis. So I wrote down a list of thoughts here on how to build mental toughness. None of them are in any particular order of importance. And some of these you might have heard before, we've talked about before. Some of these, this might be the first time you heard it, or maybe it's just a different way of hearing it. I'm not sure, but hopefully there's one or two things in here today that can help you in building a mental toughness, because here's the key thing. You cannot accomplish your goal without mental toughness. It just will not happen. There's just too much negativity in our job, too much negativity in the world, too many negative people to produce anything of value or reach any sort of reasonable goal without having mental toughness. It just won't work. So we really need to work on that. So let's jump into this. So the first thing I wrote down here, the headline is pretty simple, but we'll get into details. But the first headline I wrote down is develop a positive mindset. I know, I thought long and hard on that one. So I wrote down here, if you're going to increase your mental toughness and manage stress, the first thing you have to do is focus on building a strong, positive mindset in everyday life. So here's something really interesting. Here's some stats. According to the Cleveland Clinic, the average person has 60,000 thoughts per day. 60,000 thoughts per day. Of those, 95% of those thoughts repeat each day. And on average, 80% of the repeated ideas negative. That means roughly 45,600 negative thoughts enter our mind on a daily basis. That's a lot. So when you're carrying around these negative thoughts, someone on a hike in the mountains with a backpack full of rocks. The hike is hard enough on its own, but having extra junk weighing you down is just a recipe for failure. That's our day-to-day life as a real estate agent. The job is hard enough, let alone when you bring extra weight into it. So sometimes building mental toughness isn't as much about building new strength. It's about saving your strength for the right task. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that line again. Sometimes building mental toughness isn't as much about building new strength as it is about saving your strength for the right task. So let's jump into a little bit on developing a positive mindset. I wrote down here, let go of self-limiting beliefs. Let go of self-limiting beliefs. It's pretty hard to be mentally tough when you're constantly beating yourself up. Self-limiting beliefs are any beliefs that hold you back in some way. So an example would be, I'm not smart enough to X. I don't have enough experience to X. I before and it didn't go well, so I must be bad at X. Fill in the X with whatever you want to fill in with real estate. I'm not smart enough to learn the scripts. I don't have enough experience to get listings in this marketplace. I've tried that before, it didn't go well, so I must be bad at helping buyers get into escrow. Whatever it may be, we set these limiting beliefs on ourselves. When we allow these self-limiting beliefs to flood our minds, negative self-talk runs rampant, and we crowd out our ability to think positively. However, when we recognize a self-limiting belief cropping up in our mind, we quickly silence it by telling ourselves that it's not true, and then back that up with some affirmations. I am smart enough. I may just need to do some more research first. So instead of saying, I'm not smart enough to do this, I am smart enough. I just may need to do some more research first. I may not have as much, but that's not going to stop me from trying. I have enough experience to get started. I'll figure out the rest on the way. Just because I failed at this last time doesn't mean I'm going to fail this time. My past doesn't dictate my future. So that's just a different way of working things around. We all, at some point in our lives, have self-limiting beliefs. Yes or no? Yes. I see some of the heads nodding there. And the people that don't have pictures, I'm just going to assume your head is nodding and that you're fully focused on everything I'm saying. This is the world I'm living in. So we all have these I'm not smart enough. I can't do this. I can't do that. You have to switch the mind around. Get rid of the negative self-talk and turn it into more of some sort of an affirmation that it's not true. Because the reality is some of it's not true. Well, I don't have enough experience to do X. Well, every single person here started out as a day one real estate agent. And at some point they got to whatever level of production they're at. So they must have gotten some experience somewhere somebody gave them a chance to get started. I've tried that before and it didn't go well, so I must be bad at X. Yes, because everyone succeeds their first go around. Right? One of my favorite quotes of all time. If at first you don't succeed. Now, here's the thing. We all know the quote, if at first you don't succeed, try again. No. I like this quote better. If at first you don't succeed, you're about normal. Okay? That's one of my all-time favorite quotes. So we have these self-limiting beliefs. I tried it before, it didn't go well, so I must be bad at it. No. Turn it around. Get it into an affirmation. I wrote down here on developing a positive mindset, acceptance. Don't complain about the things you have no control over. Recognize that the one thing you can always control is your response and attitude, and use those attributes effectively. So developing a positive mindset is we have to let go of complaining of things we have no control over. So in our business, we can't complain about the interest rates. We have no control over that. We can't complain about the prices. We have no control over that. We can't complain about the number of offers and our buyers can't get their offers accepted. We have no control over that. We can't complain about sellers being greedy and instead of selling it now, they're trying to get every penny. We have no control over that. We have no control over the stock market. We have no control over the politics. Some of you get so caught up in some of this stuff. Don't get caught up in stuff you have no control over. Recognize what you can control, your response to things, your attitude towards things, your energy, your enthusiasm, your willingness to grow. Those are things you can control. Focus on that. If you want to develop more of a positive mindset, which strengthens your mental toughness, don't complain about things you have no control over. I wrote down here next on developing a positive mindset. Positive mindset, I know we're talking a lot about positive mindset. There's more stuff, but there's a lot to do on developing a positive mindset in regards to mental toughness. I wrote down, get rid of the all or nothing thinking. Get rid of the all or nothing thinking. Another form of negative thinking that could be preventing you from building mental toughness is all or nothing thinking. All or nothing thinking is the concept of thinking in extremes. You're either a success or a failure. Your performance was either great or awful. If you're not perfect, then you're a failure. But that's not true. So let's get outside of sales. If you're trying to lose 30 pounds and you only lost 28, isn't that still better than not losing any weight at all? I mean, I would think so. If you allow all or nothing to rule your mind, you'll be on cloud nine when you succeed, but you'll beat yourself up when you fail. Acknowledging the shades of gray in between will allow you to see success more often. Let me repeat that again. If you allow all or nothing thinking to rule your mind, you'll be on cloud nine when you succeed, but you'll beat yourself up when you fail. Acknowledging the shades of gray in between will allow you to see successes more often. So, give you an example. My goal today was to get 30 contacts. I only got 25. Okay, yeah, as a coach, we're going to figure out 30, but you got 25. Most people get 0 or 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 25. Acknowledge the fact that you got 25. You know, my goal this week was to get 2 listing appointments. I only got 1. Okay, so you only got 1, but you got 1. Getting a listing is hard. Yes or no? Yes, it's hard. So instead of saying, well, I didn't get 2, I failed. Okay, great. Well, then how about this? Give me the listing. All appointment. Since you failed and you didn't get, I don't think so. See, it's that all or nothing mentality. We're not accepting the good things in between. Now, if your goal was to get 30 contacts and you ended up with 2, okay, that's a different conversation. So you have to have some reason within this. But if that all or nothing mentality really hurts your mental toughness, because the reality is, how often do we get all? Not very often. It's not a shot at you. It's being honest, because I don't get all. So when we think, if I don't get everything, then I failed, then we're going to be thinking failure more times than not. Because that's just the way it goes. We're going to fail more than we're going to succeed. We all make hundreds of contacts in order to get a deal. So we have to get rid of that all or nothing mentality. You're not a success or a failure. Okay, you're moving towards success, or you're getting there. Okay, this is one of the things I talk about when I say not everything has to be done at once. So here's an example of our real estate lives of all or nothing. So all or nothing means, well, I'm supposed to prospect. I'm just using this as an example, right? Let's say you're prospecting blocked off from 9 to 12. But an inspection comes up that you absolutely cannot move, and it's at 10:30. And you say, well, I have an inspection at 10:30, so I can't prospect. Well, that's all or nothing. I can either do it for 3 hours or I get nothing. But wait a second here. Why can't you prospect from 9 to 10? Oh, I guess that makes sense. Okay, great. And then, you know, you're going to be back at the office when? 11:30. So why don't you prospect from 11:30 to 12? So instead of all or nothing, I was scheduled for 3 hours, but because of this inspection, I'll do 0. You just got an hour and a half in the morning of prospecting. Isn't that better than getting none? And won't that make you feel a little bit better about your day, that you at least got an hour and a half of prospecting in? Total shift in the mindset. That's building mental toughness. Okay. When you recognize an all or nothing thought, remember to look for the positive in the situation. What did you gain by trying? What would you have missed on had you not tried? Could you do better if you were to try again? See, sometimes just the trying aspect of it is the greatest learning experience. You don't gain experience by days worked. You gain experiences by actions done. We talked that self-limiting belief earlier, the experience. Days work doesn't give you experiences. Experience done gives you experiences. So what would you have missed out if you hadn't at least tried it out? All right, I wrote down here, developing a positive mindset. Last couple points here in developing a positive mindset. And then we'll go down to point 2 is ditch the dwelling. Ditch the dwelling. Self-limiting beliefs and all or nothing thinking can lead to a bad case of dwelling on the negative, which is bad news for your mental toughness. If you want to build mental toughness and keep your mind strong, you have to ditch the dwelling. Well, on our misfortunes, we waste massive amounts of energy that we could be using to achieve our goals. And when that happens, we're more likely to quit altogether. That doesn't mean you're not mentally tough. It just means you're misusing your energy. Because the amount of energy you're using to dwell on the bad stuff, it's the same amount of energy to work on achieving your goals and thinking positive. You're using the same amount of energy, you're just misusing it. So the next time something bad happens, it's important to allow yourself to feel the disappointment and frustration, but work on reducing the amount of time to dwell on the situation. Now, I won't go total Mike Ferry on you when Mike Ferry says that if you have a negative moment, you have 5 seconds to dwell on it. Yeah, something bad happens, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, get over it. I'm not going to, okay, I'll give you a little bit more time. But allow yourself to feel the disappointment and frustration, but work on reducing the amount of time to dwell on it. So I'll give you an example. Deal falls out of escrow and it's a buyer. Because if it's a listing that falls out of escrow, you still have a listing, but a buyer falls out of escrow. And you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, now I have to go show them more property. I have to beat all these other offers, right? So you can feel the disappointment and frustration for yourself, but then also feel it for them. Like, oh my gosh, now they don't have a house. You could feel that, but that doesn't take up the whole day. That doesn't take up the whole week. I feel it, I get it, all right, I got it. Now I have to move on because now I have to go find them another house, or I have to go find another lead. I got to go find another deal. I have something else I need to do. So you have to reduce the amount of dwelling time. So I wrote down here, if you struggle with this, here's a couple things you can call a friend or mentor and talk it through with them, get some outside perspective on the situation. Okay. I get that all the time from a coaching. Sometimes some of you will call me and it's, hey, this just happened. What do you think? Or this just happened. My mindset's a little off. Help me out with that. And for some of you, it's a 3-second motivation. And some of you, it takes a little bit longer, but call a friend or a mentor. You can time block. Here's something interesting. Time block your dwelling. Time block your dwelling by allowing yourself to dwell for no more than 1 hour. All right. So you have it on your calendar, dwelling time block. I'm going to sit here for an hour and just dwell on all the misfortunes I got going on. And then it's out of my system. Right. You could just simply tell yourself to move on, that you're human and that you're allowed to make mistakes or have setbacks. Every single person does. No reason why you're any different. You're going to have setbacks and mistakes. And then if all else fails, find a good way to distract yourself until you can calm down and re-examine things with a clear mind. They do that with anxiety. For those of you who have ever dealt with people with anxiety or had anxiety yourself, they distract your mind with something else. So you watch TV, you watch a movie, you turn on YouTube, you read, you do something to distract the mind from the anxiety. It's the same thing here. You dwell on the misfortunes, distract yourself with something else. Go to YouTube, watch something interesting, watch something that uplifts your spirits. Don't have a dwelling misfortune and then go to YouTube and watch something that's even more depressing. That's not going to help. Right? Something that's uplifting, something that's funny, something that's interesting, read something, right? Go for a quick run, do something along those lines. If all else fails, you have to distract your mind. The faster you focus on the positives and move past the problem, the quicker you can get back to achieving success. And the last thing I wrote down here on building mental toughness with a positive mindset is emotional stability. Success, leadership, anything along those lines often requires that you make good decisions under pressure. It's important that you maintain your capacity to stay objective and deliver the same level of performance regardless of what you're feeling. See, when you get too emotional, you can't have mental toughness because you're all over the place. You're emotionally here, you're emotionally there. Your thoughts are here, your thoughts are there. Mentally, you can't have mental toughness. You have to have emotional stability. Mike Ferry talks about this all the time, of keeping your emotions between the lines. Stay objective, deliver the same level of performance for what you're feeling. Remember that it's not about you. Whatever issue is going on, don't take it personally or wonder, why is this happening to me? Keep your focus level, keep your emotional level, and focus on what you can control and move forward. All right, so that's all part of developing a positive mindset for mental toughness. So the next part of developing mental toughness I wrote down is connect with your purpose. Connect with your purpose. One of the most critical elements to building mental toughness and keeping a strong, focused mind is having a strong why for all your short and long-term goals. So having a strong why, having a strong motivation factor, whatever you want to call it, a goal. If you set out to achieve a huge goal that you don't have a why for, you're going to find yourself distracted, discouraged, or disengaged as soon as you experience your first setback. Think about the last time you were working on a goal or resolution and things weren't going well. Perhaps you thought you didn't have enough willpower or discipline. The truth is, it's more likely that you didn't have a strong enough why. You had no motivating factor to get over the distraction, the discouragement, the disengagement. If you don't have a strong connection to what you're doing, if there's no motivation for what you're doing, the mental toughness isn't going to be there. Right? Your why is the purpose, cause, or belief that inspires you. So I challenge everybody to figure out what is the motivating factor in your business. Now, you can use this for anything, but let's keep this real estate related. If you don't have a strong why, if you don't have a strong motivating factor, then you're going to lose the mental toughness because there's nothing really attracting you to what you're doing. So you have to review the goals. And I wrote down here, you have to review them all the time because sometimes the goals change. The purpose changes. The why changes. I talk about this all the time. When I was a single man, my only goal in life was to have a yacht in Marina del Rey Harbor. And then I got married. And that was the end of my goals. That was it. All right. So the goals change, life changes. So you have to constantly be working on what your why is. Okay. One of the biggest drains on your mental energy is pursuing a goal or task that you don't have a why for. Often we set goals because we like the idea of the goal, not the reality of the goal. So an example that would be, well, I want to close 50 deals this year. I love the idea of the goal. Yeah, 50 deals. That would be great. Okay, well, the reality of doing 50 deals is this. Well, I don't want to do that. Okay. So sometimes we like the idea. I want the bigger house. Okay. Well, the bigger house, this is what it takes. This is what comes with it. I don't want that anymore. I want to pay for my kids' college. Okay, great. Hey, here's how much college is. You know what? I don't want my kid to go to college anymore. No, never mind. University of YouTube. Sometimes we like the idea of the goal, not the reality of the goal. Without connecting to our why, intrinsically motivate ourselves to achieve our most challenging goals. You have to have a purpose. If you want to develop any sort of mental toughness on anything you're doing, there's got to be a strong reason to do it. And you have to really connect with that. I wrote down here on connecting with a purpose is you need to find intrinsic motivation. You need to find intrinsic motivation. There's two types of motivation. There's intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. In a brief nutshell, intrinsic motivation means you're motivated to perform an activity for yourself, for a personal reward. Extrinsic motivation means you're motivated to perform an activity to either earn a reward or avoid punishment. If you want to build mental toughness, you need more intrinsic motivation, because the extrinsic motivation can come and go, and it's not as connected. So an example of that is, well, I earn a reward. I won, Realtor of the Week, Realtor of the Month at my local board of realtors. Okay, so you got an award, a reward for it. But is there something personal? I want to do this because of X, for something for me, for my family, whatever the case may be. You need to develop more intrinsic motivation. So here's an example. Let's say you want to quit smoking because you know it's bad for you, but you really enjoy smoking. If you don't truly want to quit smoking, it's going to be nearly impossible, regardless of your willpower and mental toughness. But if you want to quit smoking because you just had a baby and you don't want your baby growing up around smoke, then that's a why giving you your intrinsic motivation. It's far more powerful and far easier to maintain over the long haul. So you have to figure that out. What's the personal stuff behind it? It's never, because the thing is, it's never about the money. You can't build mental toughness thinking about the money. Because if you lose that, here's why. This is a key point. You can't build mental toughness about the money. Because if you lose the money, they're going to print more tomorrow. So you can get it back. When it's intrinsic motivation and it's something personal to you, if you lose that, you can't always get it back. That's where the mental toughness comes in. That's why you have to really dive deep into the intrinsic motivation in order to develop strong mental toughness. Okay. All right. The third part of developing mental toughness is find strength in unity. Find strength in unity. I wrote down here, you have to embrace the idea that you're not in this alone. Bill Gates didn't build Microsoft alone. Oprah didn't build her network by herself. Steve Jobs invented the iPhone without a team, and so on and so on and so on. Behind all these successful people were countless other people who were offering support, mentorship, guidance, and encouragement. If you want to develop unmatched mental toughness, you need to understand that you don't have to go it alone. Even the toughest Navy SEALs have a team back. It's just too hard mentally to go through all this on your own. All the stuff going on in life right now, to have no one else to bounce an idea off of, to have no one else to give you something back, right? So one of the things you can do is find a mentor or a committee of mentors. The benefits of having a great mentor are many, but boil it down to the basics. A mentor is someone who will help show you the path to success, discover strengths, spot your weaknesses, and work you through those. Now, your mentor doesn't have to be a real estate person, because some of you might be thinking, I've been in real estate for 25, 30, 40 years. I'm not getting a real estate mentor. That's fine. Maybe it's a mentor somewhere else. Maybe it's a spiritual mentor. Maybe it's a financial mentor. Okay. Whatever the case may be, there's different mentors that you can follow to help you build mental toughness. If you're struggling to deal with your internal negativity or with finding your purpose, talk through it with a mentor. As the old saying says, sometimes we lose the forest for the trees, through the trees. I wrote down here next is find some cheerleaders. Not like, you don't have to like go to like a football game and find like actual cheerleaders, okay? But like, you know, life cheerleaders. If you want to stay hurts to have a group of personal cheerleaders to help you successfully complete your goals. Now, these aren't mentors that are going to jump in and help you. They're just keeping your spirits up. Even if you have a strong why and a positive mindset, it's nearly impossible to maintain a positive attitude at the time. Yes or no? It's impossible. I find myself to be a fairly positive individual. And I promise you, I am not this way 100% of the time. Okay? It doesn't make you weak to need help from time to time. Having a group of people cheering you on will make all the difference in the world. Now, as a company, you have people like myself, Neil, Patty, and Eric, and all these other people helping you out, but you need your own people as well. People in your family, your friends. As you work towards your goals, tell a few close friends about what you're doing. And when things get tough, tell them about it. And they'll hopefully give you a pep talk that you might need. But here's the thing, don't resist their positivity or counter it with a self-limiting belief. Allow their optimism to refill your energy and use that energy to press on. Or the third thing you can do in strength and unity is form an accountability group. Some of you already do that. Cheerleaders are great, mentors are, sometimes we need someone to give us a kick when we need. You might have a strong why for running a marathon or losing 30 pounds, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. And trying to force yourself to follow through is a sure way to tax your mental energy. So find a person. And here's the thing, it could be one person. Sometimes we get people that want an accountability group and it's like, oh, I need 3, 4, 5, 6 people. Start with one. Find a person, or maybe it's a few people who have similar goals, or at the very least, the need for an accountability partner. And then use that to push yourselves each day. If you want to develop mental toughness, you have to do it in a group. You have to have somebody helping you. You have to have people backing you up. Some of you might be thinking, well, I have great mental toughness. I have nobody backing me up. I guarantee there's somebody backing you up, even if you don't even recognize them.
Robert, you're frozen.
So as I was saying, before I was so rudely interrupted by my internet, it's inevitable, no different. As you work on your goal, face many ups and downs, but that doesn't mean you don't have mental toughness, willpower, or discipline. When you find yourself in a low spot, instead of giving up right away, ask yourself these questions. Okay, I wrote down here, am I being too hard on myself? Are negative thoughts distorting my view? What's the positive side of this setback, obstacle, failure, whatever it was? Why was this goal important to me? Is this goal still important to me? Who can I ask for help? Who can hold me accountable? So before you give up on something, ask yourself these questions, because it might be more something in these answers, right? You're checking your mindset before you just give up on something. When we get lost in the negative thinking or lose connection to our purpose, it's far too easy to become discouraged. Okay, I wrote down here on picking yourself up, keep your attention on the long-term outcomes to stay steady in the face of real or potential obstacles. You have to keep thinking the long term. What's the long-term outcome? What's the long-term goal? These are just little things getting in the way. Complications, side effects, failures, they're all part of the landscape. Mitigate the damage, learn the lessons that will help you in the future, and move on. And the last couple points here, I wrote down patience. Don't expect results immediately or rush things to fruition before their time. It's one of the greatest ways to kill your mental toughness is thinking that overnight it's going to work. It's going to be fine. It takes time. Anything worthwhile takes hard work and endurance. View everything as a work in progress. And then the last note I wrote down here is in the face of failure. View failure as an opportunity to grow and improve, not a reason to give up. Be willing to keep trying until you get it right. Or as Thomas Edison said, you know, I found 1,000 different ways that the light bulb didn't work. Thank God he went with 1,001. So those are 4 different characteristics and a lot of subnotes under each one on developing mental toughness. But if we can harness that and figure out how to build our mental toughness to a really, really level, that's where the success comes from. Whatever success it is that you're looking for, that's where the goals come from. That's when things get better. But if you don't develop or build a mental toughness, then you're constantly going to be battling each and every day, especially in a business like real estate when you're battling anyways. So figure that out, work on that, find what you need help on, contact your coach, contact your mentors, your accountability partners, people you know, be in it together and help to yourself to build that real strong mental toughness to help you succeed. All right, everybody, that's all I got. Hopefully there was 1 or 2 things in there that were positive for you. Sorry for the little glitch there right near the end, but thanks for sticking around and going through.
Hey, Robert.
Yes, Michael.
Hey, Neil, this morning we're saying a couple of companies closed last week. Do you know who are they?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. But I can find out. I mean, we're seeing that